Hi there and welcome back. Let's review Berger's disease today. Berger disease or Berger's disease is also known as thromboangiitis obliterans. You know by now that when a person has a chest pain, um, we know that that means that there is a reduced blood flow that goes towards the heart. So the blood vessels are constricted, narrowed, or stenosis. That means reduced blood flow to the heart. That means reduced oxygen, and that means ischemia. If it continues, it may lead to the necrosis, or the tissue gets dead, or the infarction, or the heart attack. Just like that, in Berger's disease, imagine what happens if the same process continues in the fingers or the hands, right? And the blood would not reach the fingers of the hands. Then what happens? The blood flow to the fingers would reduce, and as a result, there would be a narrowing, less oxygen. If the process continues, the tissue would be dead, necrosis, period. And it starts with pain or the claudication, and if it continues and if tissue becomes dead of the fingers, then it's called autoamputation. Okay, so that's what basically the Berger disease is. So Berger disease is a type of vasculitis that affects the small and medium blood vessels and has been linked strongly to smoking. So Berger disease is characterized by poor blood flow through blood vessels due to the inflammation and the blood clotting. Okay, so let's break it down why it has been renamed as thromboangiitis obliterans. So there are three words: thrombo plus angiitis plus obliterans. Okay, so thrombo means clot, angiitis means inflammation of blood vessels. Remember, vasculitis means inflammation of vessels, right? Just like that. And obliterans means blockage or artery occlusion, right? So it makes sense that there is inflammation in the arteries or the blood vessels that creates a clot, and that leads to obstruction or the blockage or the occlusion, right? So that's how the Berger disease has been renamed as thromboangiitis obliterans. Ischemic ulcers and gangrene are very common. Those are the different names, but bottom line is it refers to what it boils down to as the process and mechanism that continues, that is strongly related to the smoking. Ultrasound and angiography are typical and used by the doctors and the surgeons to visualize inside of the blood vessels. Okay. As I said already a couple of times, that smoking is the risk factor when we are talking about the Berger disease, and the pathophysiology is not quite clearly understood, but we have discussed before also that smoking per se is a risk factor. Not only it damages the inner layer of the blood vessels, but it just escalates and aggravates the blood pressure, contributes to the increasing blood pressure. It increases the bad cholesterol, decreases the good cholesterol, and things like that. So there is a strong correlation when dealing with Berger's disease. So smoking is the risk factor, and the way our immune system works, there is a direct statistics to correlate these details. Okay, so let's talk about the treatment. The only treatment is the fact that one has to stop smoking. Seriously, period. One has to stop smoking, otherwise we ready for the consequences because of these days, thromboangiitis and obliterans. It may even go starting from claudication all the way up to auto amputation. So what else could be the motivation than the consequences? So better stop smoking is the treatment when it comes to the Berger disease. Now, statistically speaking, there are data to prove that Berger disease is more commonly seen in this age group of 20 to 45-year-old males, of course smokers, and we are primarily in Berger disease, we are primarily dealing with small arteries. Okay, so how do we underwrite? So if the insured is still smoking, and you are dealing with diabetes plus coronary artery disease and things like that, what do you think? Of course, you are correct. RNA is not acceptable, unfortunately. So one has to stop smoking, and then depending upon the time frame, looking at your own claims experience, dealing with law of large numbers, statistics and probabilities, follow your underwriting manual and your company specifics to see what is the best if you can extend any offer. Okay, so let's move on. I deliberately listed here arteriosclerosis obliterans. Started with Berger disease, thromboangiitis obliterans, and I listed here arteriosclerosis obliterans. And the reason being, there is a close correlation because the way process or the mechanism works are more or less similar without digging deeper into the anatomy physiology, but there are few aspects that at intro level from underwriting standpoint you may want to pay attention to. Arteriosclerosis obliterans, also known as arteriosclerotic occlusive disease. Here we are dealing with 20 to 45 year. Here we are primarily dealing with men over 45. So that's the big difference. Another big difference is here we are dealing with lower aorta or larger arteries of legs as opposed to the small arteries or different age group. This is frequently seen with coronary artery disease, diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia and smoking. As far as the symptom goes, they are essentially the same given the process and the mechanism it works. So we need to correlate accordingly. So with that, talking about the underwriting, last but not least, just follow your underwriting manual and your company specifics and go with that. Okay, so let's take a break here and see you soon. Take care. Bye now.